This video is brought to you by
Cool Grain Clothing. We done gone worldwide and we coming straight out of Baltimore. Come on down, shop with us at 215 West Saratoga Street. And if you can't come and shop with us in person, go online right now at coolgrainclothing.com and make your purchase. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way, and that's just basic.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. One thing we all should know by now is living in this world, you will be tested. There's all kinds of trials and tribulations to go through, hurdles to jump, for most on a daily basis. And I learned, the more you try to do right, the more things will come your way. Not to get spiritual, but for us that believe in a higher power, we understand it's a fight going on between good and evil. And the devil is always working. He could be working through a coworker who was just cool a day ago, but you peep the next day is now trying to trick you out your position, coming at you crazy at work. Or a family member that one day just comes at you on some weird type of energy. It gets deep. For most, we try to stay grounded and 10 steps ahead of the tricks and evils of the world and people. But it's really no way possible because we live amongst it. Quick story time. I remember back in like 2010, I was 23 years old, out Baltimore County by my people's house in Fontana Village, Rosedale. I was on parole and probation, backing up 15 years, trying to watch how I move, work on myself as a man, and watch my temper. I was at a red light. My wife was with me. She was just my girlfriend at the time, and my daughter. I glanced over, and another dude was gritting on me hard. I had a moment, fresh out of prison, with a mindset like, what is yo looking at? He cracked slick. He asked me, you know me? I said, no, I thought you knew me. He said, I can pull over, and we can get to know each other. At this point, I'm plotting. I evaluated the situation. His girl was in the car, and his baby. I was about to make a call right across the street to my peoples and tell yo, like, yeah, follow me over here. We can get to know each other. And tell them, like, we got one. We about to terrorize yo. But I told myself, that's nothing but the devil. Long story short, I felt like a swine, a sucker. But I knew at that point I was maturing into a man. And I had to think about the tricks in that situation and think for me and him. Unfortunately, a lot of times, things don't play out like that though. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be taking it all the way back to 2013 to discuss the case of a Baltimore man who never made it home from work after a run-in with evil. Back in 2013, 20-year-old Anthony Black was a young man trying to navigate life in Baltimore. Young and full of life, he liked to have fun from time to time. But for the most part, Anthony was focused, trying to make something of himself and make the right decisions in life. Even at just 20, Anthony was in a committed relationship. The young man was even ready to jump the broom. Him and his fiance, who we'll call Stephanie for the sake of the story, lived together, had a nice apartment, and both worked hard. Anthony wasn't no street dude at all, no sucker either. He was just himself. He preferred to hang out with his fiance or close friends, go on double dates when he had free time and wasn't at work. The young man worked down the harbor at the Cheesecake Factory on Pratt Street while figuring out what he wanted to go back to school for. Things were looking bright for the young man. On April 6, 2013, Anthony headed to work. It was a normal day. Stephanie dropped him off and was coming back later to pick him up. He worked his shift, which was at night. Stephanie drove down to pick him up around about 1:30 a.m. Downtown at the time were two men, Matthew Derby and Derek Schuler, both 24 years old. The two friends had been out drinking. That's when they saw Stephanie parked up waiting for Anthony. A pretty girl, she quickly caught Matthew's attention. Under the influence, he told Derek to come on. That's when they boldly approached the car. As Matthew tried to rap to Stephanie, she told the man she had a fiance. In fact, he was leaving work and on his way to the car, and she was there to pick him up. In the mix of her turning the two men down, Anthony walked out the restaurant. Noticing two men talking to his fiance, he asked, like, what's up? That's when Matthew stated, nothing much, bro. Your girlfriend is hot. Peeping the vibes, Anthony, knowing they had both been drinking, said, all right, bro, I appreciate that. Now go ahead and leave. But Matthew was looking for a fight. He wouldn't budge and started being disrespectful, talking to Stephanie, saying what he would do to her sexually, causing Anthony to approach him, telling him again, like, bro, bop off. Even Matthew's homie Derek saw it wasn't funny no more and said, yeah, bro, let's go. But seconds later, Matthew swung on Anthony. Defending himself, he fought back, but then he fell to the ground and the two friends ran. Stephanie jumped out the car, realizing Anthony had been stabbed. Even though it was 2 a.m., there was multiple witnesses downtown who called BPD. They found Anthony suffering from cut wounds all over his upper body. He was rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. Stephanie, hurt and in shock, told police it was a normal night. She came to pick Anthony up from work like any other night, but two men approached her and just kept antagonizing the couple. Surveillance footage from the area caught some of the incident, and police were able to track the suspect's steps back to the location where they first started drinking at and get video and images. They ran them through a database. They realized one of the men had a criminal record, and they came back with a name. It was Matthew. They realized the man was from Glen Burnie. Police were able to track him down just hours later, and he was picked out of a lineup by witnesses who saw the whole incident. They all stated that was the man who stabbed Anthony. He was taken into custody, at first charged with first-degree hit. A few days later, Derek was also picked up. As Anthony's family and fiance were left to grieve, everyone stated he was a hard-working, cool young man who didn't have any enemies or bother no one. He was working at the restaurant to save up money for college. As the case made its way to court, somehow Matthews and Derek's attorneys were able to get the charges dropped to manslaughter and assault with a deadly weapon. Matthew was found guilty, and being the one who stabbed Anthony, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Derek, because he was the one who tried to de-escalate the situation, only got 5 years, were all suspended for 6 days to serve in jail. Anthony's family felt the sentencing wasn't fair. They filed the $5 million wrongful death lawsuit, but I'm not sure how that played out for him. But rest in peace to Anthony. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. 20 years old. He didn't go out looking for no trouble. It literally found him. That just goes to show you, just like we was talking about how evil works. Whatever spirit that was operating in Matthew that night wouldn't leave the situation alone. He wanted it to go just the way it did. We know if this story was reversed, Anthony would probably still be in prison. But us that understand the system knows how that go. I wanted to shed light on this story and give Anthony a voice, because to be honest, until somebody brought this to my attention, I never heard of this story. But like we was talking about earlier, there's some people out here that go around looking for trouble. Whatever demons they have in them come out, and they are not satisfied until a situation plays out like this. Matthew could have easily said, you got a boyfriend, my fault, you beautiful, and walked off. I'm sure there was plenty other women downtown drinking that night on his same type of vibe, but instead he took a young man's life for nothing. He has to live with that for the rest of his life. But I want to know y'all thoughts on this situation, and how do you yourself deal with situations like this? Do you try to walk away, or are you the type that go all in and whatever happens, happens? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, man, crazy story. Messed up situation. Rest in peace, that young man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out. Yo, what's the word, fam? We got a deal for you so you can get your fashion right this summer to get 10% off your purchase at Cool Green Clothing. All you got to do is click the link in the comments. I'm going to pin it right there for you. Add your items for purchase in the cart. Before you complete your order, type in code 2x10TV to get 10% off your purchase. Again, be sure to tap that link because without that, you can't get your discount. And that's code 2TIMESTV10. We appreciate your love and support.